All right, so don't give up and continue to practice making your desserts. All right, so that's all the time we have with Chef Sanghwa today. Thank you so much once again
감사합니다.
for joining us. 네, 감사합니다. It was such a pleasant 1 hour with Chef Sanghwa. We'll have to wrap up right there, but please do join us again tomorrow at the same time for more culture to crunch on. Now we'll leave you to our last song. Here's Goodbye to Romance by Sunny Hill. Bye-bye. Keep crunching.
X-body checker is the world's first and #1 system to check musculoskeletal system.
So what are the special aspects of X-body?
We use infrared camera which it detects the depths. It automatically detects all the human movements, and it analyzes their muscle condition by our algorithm. This device is approved by CEMDR, which stands for European Community Medical Device Regulations.
Still relying on the eye test for your body? Think again. Now it's time for X-Body with accurate data, precise results. The unrivaled #1 in musculoskeletal diagnostic devices. Know your body, win every battle. Break free from hidden pains that have been troubling you. A one-stop solution from measurement to treatment. The one and only way to scan your body with precision. X-Body.
증강현실 디지털 체육 플랫폼으로 움직임 기반의 다양한 콘텐츠들이 있고 양쪽의 센서가 움직임을 정확하게 잡아주기 때문에 운동 효과가 확실합니다. 그리고 디딤의 가장 큰 장점은 설치가 따로 필요 없이 이동이 가능하다는 점인데요. 그러다 보니까 어디든지 가로 5m, 세로 4m만 있으면 바로 사용하실 수가 있습니다.
Right where you stand, your playground begins. Didim, the AR digital fitness platform. Today's health hero makes its entrance. Equipped it with 3D LiDAR sensing, the world's first all-in-one digital workout system that turns the floor into your stage. For youth, growth training. For adults, strength and stamina. For seniors, dementia prevention. One solution for every generation. Didim. Unite the world with real-time streaming rankings. With over 100 digital fitness programs at your fingertips. Didim.
승리한 자들의 전리품 증오를 불태워 내 길을 밝혀줘. 더 많은 억지를 부려 양심의 가책을 즐겨 광기를 딛고서.
The Korean wave is drawing more fans from all over the world. Local consumer prices continue to hover at the 2% since rate in April.
Turning to robots to allow the visually impaired the chance to better indulge in cultural experiences. Like the number of hybrid cars are registered in South Korea has surpassed 2 million using this locally developed Yuri rocket.
Arirang.
Introducing Korean broadcast content that you won't be able to stop watching. For weary modern souls, Dr. Romantic, the quirky genius doctor of Puldam Hospital, prescribes heartwarming tales of humanity. A couple together for 7 years sees their rose-tinted glasses shatter. Can they keep their relationship alive? Discover the raw stories of youth, work, and love. Beyond what social media can show, experience the vibrant Korea through its hidden gems. Mama, the ultimate K-pop festival for global fans. Find your star in a feast of trendy music and electrifying performances. Now, the whole world enjoys it together.
Knock, knock. The magical door to the world of K-animation is swinging wide open. Meet your instant new BFF, the adorable Catch. Tina Ping will have you hooked from the very first glance. Need a hand? Our Robocar Poli Rescue team is always zooming in to save the day. How about tagging along on Pinkfong and Pal's super exciting quest to reclaim their lost magic? With the mysterious life forms Kabion by your side, you can become a Kabion master and save humanity like a total hero. Protecting children's innocence while igniting their boundless imaginations. That's the magic of Korean animation. K-animation, the ultimate bestie for kids worldwide.
South Korean prosecutors are seeking a 15-year jail term for Kim Gun-hee, the wife of former President Yoon Suk-yeol, who has been indicted for bribery, stock manipulation, and other charges, and is currently on trial. The Seoul Central District Court is due to deliver its verdict on January 28th. Marking the first anniversary of the brief imposition of martial law, President Lee Jae-myung praised the Korean people's peaceful efforts to block military rule and suggested designating December 3rd as an official holiday. Tariffs on South Korean cars exported to the United States have now officially been lowered to 15%. The new measure will take effect retroactively to November 1st for vehicles and auto parts. We begin today with the latest on investigations against former First Lady Kim Gun-hee. A special counsel team is now demanding a 15-year jail term for Kim, the wife of former President Yoon Suk-yeol, who has been indicted of multiple charges, including stock manipulation and violating the Political Funds Act. This afternoon, she faces questioning about allegations that Kim accepted jewelry and other high-value luxury items. Our Lee Seung-jae starts us off.
A special counsel team has requested a 15-year prison sentence for former First Lady Kim Gun-hee, marking one of the most significant legal developments involving a presidential spouse in South Korea's recent history. The request came on Wednesday during the final hearing of her trial at the Seoul Central District Court. The special counsel, led by Min Jung-gi, indicted Kim in August on multiple charges that include violating the Capital Market Act, violating the Political Funds Act, and breaching laws that prohibit the acceptance of bribes for mediation. These charges stem from a series of allegations that investigators say point to a sustained pattern of influence peddling and financial misconduct. The most serious charge centers on claims that Kim conspired with the former head of Deutsche Motors, a BMW car dealer in Korea, as well as a close associate, to manipulate the company's stock price between 2010 and 2012. Prosecutors say the scheme generated more than $545,000 in illegal profits. For this charge alone, the special counsel asked the court to impose 11 years in prison, along with a fine of around $1.3 million and a forfeiture of $558,000. The prosecutors also raised allegations that Kim received luxury gifts worth roughly $54,000 from an official linked to the Unification Church in 2022. According to investigators, the gifts were delivered through a shaman and were tied to requests for business favors. Kim and her husband, ousted former President Yoon Suk-yeol, are also suspected of receiving free opinion polling service valued at around $184,000 ahead of the 2022 presidential election. Prosecutors say the polling was arranged by a self-described power broker who expected Kim to help secure the nomination of former lawmaker Kim Young-sun for a parliamentary by-election later that same year. For this charge, the special counsel requested a 4-year prison term and the forfeiture of $93,000. The court has scheduled a sentencing hearing for January 28th, a date that's expected to draw intense national attention. Meanwhile, beginning Thursday, the special counsel will open a new round of questioning into separate allegations that Kim accepted high-value luxury items, including jewelry, from influential business figures. Investigators say the additional probe will focus on whether those items were linked to requests for government appointments or other forms of political favors. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
And marking the first anniversary of former President Yoon Suk-yeol's martial law declaration, President Lee Jae-myung proposed designated this day as a special holiday, expressing gratitude to the people for their efforts. Our senior presidential office correspondent Yoon Jung-min reports.
Exactly 1 year after the martial law declaration, President Lee Jae-myung praised the Korean people's peaceful efforts to block military rule while condemning the incident itself, calling both the attempted coup and the civic resistance unprecedented in a 21st century democracy.
역설적이게도 지난 12.3 쿠데타는 우리 국민들의 높은 주권의식과 대한민국 민주주의의 놀라운 회복력을 세계 만방에 알린 계기가 됐습니다.
President Lee on Wednesday issued a special statement, first anniversary of the Revolution of Light. He proposed designating December 3rd as a day of people's sovereignty and making it an official public holiday, expressing gratitude to citizens who stood unarmed against martial law forces and tanks on the night martial law was declared. He added that the Korean people fully deserve the Nobel Peace Prize for their actions.
온 세계에 민주주의의 위대함을 알린 공로로 노벨 평화상을 받는다면 갈등과 분열로 흔들리는 모든 국가들에게 크나큰 전환점이 될 것입니다.
With investigations and trials still underway, Lee reiterated his pledge to ensure that those involved are held accountable, saying they must be judged for attempting to undermine the constitutional order out of private greed and even plotting a war with a foreign entity.
다시는 쿠데타를 꿈조차 꿀 수 없는 나라, 누구도 국민 주권의 빛을 위협할 수 없는 나라를 만들기 위해서라도 정의로운 통합은 필수입니다.
When it comes to establishing a special tribunal to handle insurrection charges, now under discussion at the National Assembly, Lee said he believes lawmakers will make a wise decision. He gave a similar response when questioned about a possible extension of the special counsel probe. The message of democracy and the rule of law carried into a luncheon later in the day, as the president invited 5 key figures, including the National Assembly Speaker and the Supreme Court Chief Justice, to the presidential office. Yoo Jung-min, Arirang News.
And 1 year after the martial law declaration that shook the nation, a massive nighttime rally was held outside the National Assembly, bringing an end to a full day of remembrance events. Our political correspondent Moon Hye-ryun files this report.
A large rally outside the National Assembly on Wednesday night marked the climax of a full day of commemorative events held to observe the first anniversary of former President Yoon Suk-yeol's martial law declaration. People filled the streets despite below-freezing temperatures, with music, speeches and banners recalling last year's nationwide protests, setting a charged, energetic tone.
It feels like time has flown by. Some issues have been resolved, while others remain, but as a citizen, I will continue to work hard to address even those that haven't been resolved.
Lawmakers from the ruling Democratic Party and members of other liberal parties also joined the rally, standing with the public as they reflected on the events of a year ago. The nighttime rally capped a day of programs and exhibitions held throughout the National Assembly compound. Beginning in the morning, visitors were invited to view a photo exhibition documenting scenes from the hours when martial law was in effect. The collection includes images of military vehicles, civic resistance, and the historic plenary session in which all 190 lawmakers present voted unanimously to demand the lifting of martial law, a moment many consider a turning point in the crisis. A series of guided dark tours also launched on Wednesday, offering the public a first-hand look at key locations tied to the events of last year. National Assembly Speaker Won-sik led the inaugural tour himself on the first day, walking participants through the fence he climbed to enter the building, the second-floor entrance where lawmakers confronted martial law troops, and the grounds where military helicopters landed. Special displays now mark each site, and the tours will continue through Friday. The anniversary program continued late into the evening, with a media facade projection on the outer walls of the assembly, recounting the timeline of the crisis and its aftermath. Combining videos shot from a year ago with performances and music to commemorate the occasion, the 20-minute show offered a reflection on the events that took place a year before and all that followed, drawing crowds well into the night.
Standing here 1 year on, the National Assembly now serves both as a memorial space and as a reminder of how decisively the public and lawmakers acted in a moment of crisis. Moon Hye-ryun, Arirang News.
On the economic front, a new tariff arrangement between South Korea and the United States has legally taken effect with Washington now confirming retroactive tariff adjustments for Korean automobiles. This comes as the U.S. Treasury Secretary signals that the administration intends to make its high tariff regime a permanent fixture, regardless of potential legal setbacks. Our Kim Do-yeon reports.
The revised tariff structure for South Korean exports to the United States has been officially codified. The U.S. Federal Register published the implementation notice for the U.S.-Korea Strategic Trade and Investment Deal on Wednesday, with the notice coming into effect on Thursday. Under the regulations, Korean automobiles and auto parts have a tariff rate of 15%. That rate is applied retroactively to November 1st. For other sectors, including timber and civil aircraft components, the effective date is November 14th, with aviation parts largely exempted from the new levies. The notice marks the formal execution of the agreement, finalizing the exchange of Seoul's pledged $350 billion investment for tariff stability. The Federal Register also read that the two countries' leaders have declared a new chapter in the U.S.-ROK alliance, describing it as the linchpin for peace, security, and prosperity on the Korean Peninsula and the Indo-Pacific region. While this deal provides clarity for Korean industries, the U.S. administration is digging in on its broader tariff policy. At an event in New York on Wednesday, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent addressed the possibility of the Supreme Court striking down the president's use of emergency powers, declaring that even if the court rules against them, the tariffs will remain. He said the Treasury is prepared to pivot to alternative trade statutes such as Section 301 or 232 to recreate the identical tariff structure, confirming the administration views this tariff regime as permanent. Despite these complexities, President Trump last week continued to pitch the tariffs as substitute for income tax.
But we'll be cutting income tax. Could be almost completely cutting it because the money we're taking in is going to be so large.
However, legal analysts note that unlike emergency orders, standard trade laws typically require months of investigation, and that this could create a regulatory vacuum if Supreme Court issues an abrupt ruling. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, a revised report by the Bank of Korea reveals the country's economy saw a stronger expansion of 1.3% in the third quarter of this year, in a clear indication of steady momentum despite external risk factors. Our Park Jun-an reports.
According to the Bank of Korea on Wednesday, South Korea recorded its strongest quarter-on-quarter GDP growth in 3 years and 9 months in the third quarter, expanding by 1.3%. This is the highest quarterly growth since the fourth quarter of 2021, when the country's GDP rose by 1.6%. The figure was revised up from the previous estimate of 1.2%, thanks to stronger than expected domestic demand and net exports.
The contribution of domestic demand to growth expanded significantly in the third quarter. Private consumption also made a much larger positive contribution, while government consumption remained at the same level as the previous quarter.
South Korea's growth rate came in at 1.2% in the first quarter of 2024, but fell sharply, contracting 0.2% for the second quarter. It then inched up to 0.1% in both the third and fourth quarters, before slipping back to minus 0.2% in the first quarter of 2025. The country's economy rebounded to 0.7% in the second quarter and continued its strong upward momentum into the third quarter. The Bank of Korea said that if the fourth quarter GDP stays above zero growth from the third quarter, achieving an annual growth rate of 1.1%, which is higher than the original 1% projection, is still plausible.
If fourth quarter growth comes in between minus 0.4% and minus 0.1%, the economy can still achieve 1% annual growth. And if growth stays at zero or above, an annual rate of 1.1% is also mathematically possible.
Despite the strong GDP growth, the income that actually flows into Korean households and businesses didn't rise as much. Real gross national income rose 0.8%, but nominal gross national income slipped 0.3%, as Korea earned less for its exports while paying for more imports, reducing the purchasing power of each export dollar. Park Jun-an, Arirang News.
Now shifting gears to sports, South Korean national football team head coach Myung-bo arrived in the United States on Wednesday ahead of the upcoming 2026 World Cup group draw. Speaking to reporters upon arrival at Dulles International Airport, Hong said that qualifying for the World Cup is a great honor, both personally and for the team. He said that the real start of the World Cup comes once the groups are finalized, but added that it's still too early to predict ideal opponents or which team South Korea hopes to avoid. The official draw will take place on Friday at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C.
This is the world now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. In the United States, President Donald Trump told reporters he does not want Somali immigrants in the country and said that they should, quote, go back to where they came from, as he criticized Somalia and Minnesota's Somali community. His comments on Tuesday came as U.S. immigration authorities were reported to be preparing an enforcement operation targeting undocumented Somalis in Minnesota, home to the largest Somali population in the U.S. Local officials in Minneapolis and St. Paul expressed concerns that the ICE operation could sweep up American citizens and violate due process. Minnesota's governor also denounced what he called an indiscriminate PR stunt. The operation is expected to begin this week, according to U.S. media reports. In eastern Ukraine, Russian forces struck the city of Sloviansk with 9 aerial bombs on Wednesday, wounding at least 8 people, including 2 children. According to the Donetsk regional governor Vadim Filashkin, one bomb hit a residential building, causing major damage. Reuters footage showed rescuers cutting through debris while residents searched what remains of their homes. The governor urged civilians to evacuate, warning there are no safe places left in the Donetsk region. In the U.S. on Wednesday, a California doctor was sentenced to 30 months in federal prison for supplying ketamine to Friends star Matthew Perry, who died of an overdose in 2023. The doctor, Salvador Plasencia, is the first among 5 people charged in the federal investigation into how Perry obtained the drug. He pleaded guilty to distributing ketamine and was also ordered to pay a $5,600 fine. Perry's family made a statement calling Plasencia the most culpable, saying he violated his duty to protect the actor. In the U.S., House Democrats released photos and videos from Jeffrey Epstein's private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands on Wednesday. The images, taken in 2020 by law enforcement, show the inside of his property, including bedrooms, an office-like room, and a space with a dentist chair. The lawmakers said the release aims to increase public transparency ahead of this year's December 19th deadline for the Justice Department to disclose related files. The island was central to previous allegations that dozens of young women and children were trafficked and abused there. Chu Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
It was even colder this morning than yesterday. The wind chill pushed temperatures down to minus 12 degrees Celsius here in the capital this morning. And we stayed below freezing all day yesterday, but highs will go up higher this afternoon. Then starting tomorrow afternoon, we can look forward to some relief. Despite the cold, we have snow to talk about. The first snowfall of this winter is in the forecast for the capital area, with up to 5 centimeters expected from this afternoon into tonight. Then 1 to 8 centimeters are expected for eastern parts of Gyeonggi-do and Gangwon-do provinces. So please take care on the roads, and it is best if you could leave your car and use public transportation for traveling. And this afternoon's high gets up to 2 degrees Celsius, Daejeon topping out at just 4 degrees. Meanwhile, the air along the east coast is very dry, with dry weather alerts being expanded. So please stay stay alert for potential fire hazard. This round of severe cold is expected to ease gradually heading into the weekends. Until then, take care.
That's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.
Time to set the facts straight. Get Korea right.
한반도에서 가장 먼저 아침이 시작되는 곳. 대한민국 최동단에 위치한 섬. 천연기념물 제336호로 지정된 자연유산. 이곳은 경상북도 울릉군 울릉읍 독도입니다. 그런데 일본이 대한민국 고유 영토인 독도를 일본 영토라며 일방적으로 주장하고 있어요. 그 때문에 독도와 관련된 잘못된 정보들이 퍼지고 있답니다. 안녕하세요. 저는 방크에서 활동하는 성혜승 연구원입니다. 방크는 1999년에 설립된 후 지속적으로 독도 바로 알리기 활동을 하고 있는데요. 지금부터 제가 독도에 대한 올바른 정보를 알려드리겠습니다. 독도는 역사적, 지리적, 국제법적으로 명백하게 대한민국 영토라고 할 수 있어요. 대한민국에 현존하는 가장 오래된 역사책인 삼국사기에 보면 독도는 신라 지증왕 13년, 그러니까 512년 전부터 한국 역사에 등장합니다.